Hello, my wonderful friends, Magus with you. And today's message is one of those messages, one of those times in your life that you can actually see where your life completely changed. And I have an example of this. This book, The Teachings of the Magi, was given to me by a religious professor, and it completely changed my life. And I love this book so much. When he gave it to me, I read it over and over again multiple times because I knew I had to give it back to him. And he had given me a bunch of other books also on loan. I gave him back all the books, and about a month later I couldn't stop thinking about this beautiful orange book. And I looked it up online to see if I could find one, and they were thousands of dollars. They're very rare. And so I went to him and I said, I wanted to be completely honest. I go, I need that book. I went online. They're thousands of dollars. I'm willing to pay that, but I would love to have the original one. I wanted this book because this is the one that changed my life. I wanted to physically have this same book. And I told him that price was not an option. And out of love, he just gave it to me as a gift for free. And what a blessing, my friends. And today this message can be one of those turning points in your life where your life will never be the same. And I always share this message when there's a solar eclipse. And of course tomorrow we have a solar eclipse coming. And so it's time for this message again. And my friends, just the other day I was over at my parents' house, and my mom was watching a YouTube video, and it was talking about, those of you around my age will remember this, but the I Love Lucy show, and Desi Arnaz. And if you remember, he used to play the, what do you call those, bongos, and sing Babaloo. And as a kid, I was going around doing it all the time. I mean, all the kids did it. And if you're my age, you probably did this also, singing Babaloo and banging on something. And come to find out, she said that it's actually a god of the Cuban Afro religion. And so that you're actually, by doing that, summoning this god. And so I looked it up because my mom was quite disturbed about the description of this god that you're summoning. And it says here, Babaloo is considered the father, the lord of the earth, and he is strongly associated with infectious disease and healing, okay, including the body, wealth, physical possessions. He was strongly associated with epidemics such as smallpox, leprosy. Although strongly associated with illness and disease, Babaloo is also the spirit that cures both these ailments. So therefore he is both feared and loved. He's sometimes referred to as the wrath of the supreme God because he punishes people for their sins. And my mom was so scared about this, that you're summoning this. But then I started bringing up the question, what's the difference from that God and her God, Jehovah? And so, being a Bible student, I've been studying the Bible, as you that have been following me know, since I was a small child. I've read it many times, know it better than most pastors. Matter of fact, I sat down with a preacher friend of mine. He has a doctorate, and I know more about the scriptures than he does. He can pronounce all the words better than I do, and he always goes to that. When I start winning one of our debates, he goes, well, you said that word wrong. And so I've just gotten used to that. I'm going to say every Old Testament word wrong, and that's fine, but nonetheless the truth stands. And so I was bringing up to her some things like this. In her Old Testament Bible, it says in 2 Chronicles 21, 14 and 15, it says, behold, with a great plague will the Lord smite thy people and thy children and thy wives and all thy goods. And I was, trying to point, I'm always trying to convert everyone to the good religion, of course. So I'm trying to point out to her, what's the difference from that God that you're so scared of and this God that you serve? They both put plagues on people. I also brought up to her in Exodus 21, 7 through 8, about sexual slavery. It says, when a man sells his daughter, she is not to go free at 6 years as the male servants do if she does not please the master. So here it's telling people it's okay to sell your daughters for money as sex slaves. You know, I mean, how does it get worse than that, you would think? But it does. You know, there's stories of the prophet saying that God told them to go into these cities and kill all the men, all the women, all the children, all the animals. And people get so used to these stories. Do you ever stop and think about that? What does that look like? What would that sound like? What does that smell like? I mean, thousands of people being slaughtered, children being torn from their mother's arms and stabbed and suffering and crying out to each other, and just the terror and the horror of it all. It's the worst horror movie you can imagine. That's supposed to be ordained by their God, but they're going in and killing these people because they're worshiping the wrong God that's bad. Well, what is this? Does it get worse than what that is? Look at Solomon. When he dedicated the temple, he sacrificed 22,000 cattle, 120,000 sheep over 7 days. What would that look like? And how would that please a good God? And, you know, we could go on. I've also studied Islam, and you know, I'm not going to go into all the stories, but let's just say that out of the 99 names for Allah, good is not one of them. They're fine with lying to, deceiving, and killing the infidel, someone that has a different God. As a matter of fact, my hero, Zarathustra, was killed when they were coming in and trying to convert the Zoroastrians to Islam. He was in his fire temple, according to tradition, and they ran a sword through his back. So who is the bad one? They killed Zarathustra, bringing the message of the all-good God, saying to align with it, to be love, be peace, be joy, be kind to each other. They ran a sword through his back because they said he had the wrong God. My friends, even, you know, as I'm talking about, like that story, that it's okay for them to sell in the Old Testament their daughters as sex slaves. Even the Church of Satan, okay, in their laws has that if you abuse a child sexually or otherwise, you are thrown out of their church and you can never be reinstated. Matter of fact, give me a second. I'm going to pull this up. I think it's important as we're talking about that. I'm going to pull up the 7 tenets of the Church of Satan. And I think you'll be surprised that these are the bad guys, okay? And here I just told you the story of who's supposed to be the good guys and the things that they're okay and what their God does. But listen to the 7 tenets of the Church of Satan. It says, 1, one should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. 2, the struggle for justice is ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institution. 3, one's body is, some word I can't pronounce, subject to one's own will. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend, to willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of others is to forego one's own. Now, I'm not telling, I don't agree with Satanism, obviously. I serve the all-good God, Ahura Mazda, but I'm just showing you that even what they consider the worst is offering something even better than the hell that I just read out of the old Jewish teachings about going in, killing men, women, and children, selling your daughters as sex slaves, a God that sends sickness and disease on you and heals. And it's no different than all the other gods. What is the difference? Why are all these different sects fighting and killing each other? My friends, when you look behind it, isn't they all have the same God that hates, wars, kills, loves sometimes, hates sometimes, is at peace sometimes, at war sometimes? You know, just it looks like the same no matter what God you call it, what name you give it, what religion it is. They ought to all get along because they're all really serving the same spirit behind whatever name that they are using. And that's why, my friends, during this time of eclipse, I like to share with you what I got in a prophetic word that last solar eclipse last year, when God told me that there is only two religions, two energies. There's good or there's evil. And it don't matter what you call your religion, what you call your God. Is it all good, or is it evil, or is it mixed? And you'll see as we're talking about all these different religions, they all have a mixed God. He's good, he's bad. He's love, he's hate. He creates, he destroys. And my friends, we have to go back to the original word. And that's what the message of the Magi is all about, the original word. And that original word is good. God and good are the same thing. So my friends, we must have the correct image of who God really is, and it's that original word. We have to go back to the original. Zarathustra's message was the original of the all-good God. It came before Judaism, before Islam, before Christianity, before they changed it and they mixed attributes of the evil spirit back in with God. And I want to read to you from my favorite book in the world, and I hope it touches you like it touched me. And here it's talking about God. It says, "From this we must infer that what is perfect and complete in its goodness cannot produce evil. If it could, then it would not be perfect. For when a thing is described as perfect, there is no room for anything else in it. And if there is no room for anything else, nothing else can produce from it. If God is perfect in goodness and knowledge, plainly ignorance and evil cannot proceed from him." And as you know, the Zoroastrians teach that God did not create Satan, but there's two energies in the world. It goes on to say, "And if he is not perfect, then he should not be worshipped as God or as perfectly good. If, on the other hand, both good and evil originate in God, then he is imperfect so far as goodness is concerned. If he is imperfect in respect of goodness, then he is imperfect in respect of right knowledge. And if he is imperfect in respect of right knowledge, then he is imperfect in respect of reason, consciousness, knowledge, wit, and in all faculties of knowing. And if he is imperfect in reason, consciousness, wit, and knowledge, he must be imperfect in respect of health. And if he is imperfect in respect of health, he must be sick. And if he must be sick, then he is imperfect in respect of life." My friends, that's why all these other gods and ideas will not last, because they're mixed with death. And what else can death do but die? The light of truth will shine through, and my friends, the darkness and the lie and illusion will be burnt away, and people will see, and they're already seeing it. My friends, there's two energies. There's good or there's evil. There's love or there's hate. There's truth or there's lie, and you can't fool yourself anymore. As we talked about, the gap has grown too wide. Everyone can see it clearly, the difference between a good story and a bad story, between right and between wrong, but you are too fearful to admit it, to change your heart, your life, and your mind, but you will never be saved, awakened, enlightened until you are brave enough. The fearful will not inherit the kingdom of God. My friends, God is all good. He does not hate, war, kill, or destroy his creatures. And when you realize his image, you restore your image. You come into alignment with that highest truth. And my friends, in the world evolves in a different way. There's no more wars, no more hate, no more killing, no more stupid stories that we pass on to our children, which is perverting their very genes and DNA. My friends, we are making a difference with this message of the Magi. You are changing not only your life, but the life of this planet. My friends, we're a small channel. We've been doing this for 2 years and we don't even have 1,000 followers yet, but we are powerful. I don't know of any other channel that gets more messages of people saying, "I did not commit suicide because of this message. I did not leave my spouse and children because of this message. I've been healed physically. I've been healed mentally. For the first time, I know who God is. I've changed my life, my heart, my mind, the atmosphere of my home, and I'm changing this world." My friends, I'm going to ask you right now, share this message with someone that needs it today. I'm proud of you. I love you. I love you. I love you.